Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving headfirst into the wonderfully weird world of rule-based programming in interactive fiction. Specifically, we're exploring a fascinating essay detailing the complexities and potential of this approach. Get ready for some serious code talk with a humorous twist.
Oh boy, rule-based programming. Sounds like a recipe for either elegant simplicity or utter chaos. I'm leaning towards chaos, but I'm eager to be proven wrong. Words. What's the core idea here?
The core idea is using rules, not objects, as the fundamental building blocks of an interactive fiction game. Think of it like this. Instead of defining objects with methods, you define rules that dictate how the game responds to player actions. It's a paradigm shift, and it's all about managing complexity in a very different way. Less than / person one greater than, less than person one greater than.
So instead of player.take, object, you'd have a rule like, if player is in room and object is in room, and player types take object then remove object from room? Is that the gist of it?
Exactly. That's a simplified version, but you've got the basic concept. The power comes from chaining and layering these rules, handling exceptions and edge cases with more rules, not by modifying object methods. It's all about conditionals and actions, not object hierarchies. The author even talks about how this approach could potentially revolutionize how we handle things like object descriptions, which can be dynamic and change based on game state.
Interesting. But doesn't that lead to a potential explosion of rules? How do you manage conflicts when multiple rules might apply to the same situation?
That's the million-dollar question, and a huge part of the essay. The author grapples with this extensively. One approach is prioritizing rules based on specificity. A more specific rule overrides a more general one. But even that gets messy quickly. The author explores various methods for resolving rule conflicts, including a hierarchical system of precedence, but ultimately admits that a perfect solution remains elusive.
So it's a bit of a Wild West out there in rule-based IF land? A lot of potential, but also a lot of potential for headaches?
Precisely. The author even jokes about redefining pi as a rule, highlighting the flexibility, but also the potential for unintended consequences. It's a trade-off between flexibility and maintainability. The essay highlights how traditional object-oriented approaches struggle with the ever-changing, unpredictable nature of IF game design. Rules, on the other hand, seem better suited to handle these ad hoc exceptions.
I see. So it's not just about the syntax, but the underlying programming model that's the real game changer, or game breaker, depending on how you look at it. The author mentions Inform 7, a popular IF language. How does its approach compare?
Inform 7 uses rules, but it's not purely rule-based. It retains traditional elements like variables and objects. The author argues that a purely rule-based system would be more elegant and powerful, allowing for greater flexibility and customization, especially when dealing with the many exceptions and edge cases inherent in IF design. It's a more radical approach, but also a more challenging one to implement.
So the author is essentially proposing a new programming paradigm for IF, a more rule-centric approach than what currently exists? That's quite ambitious.
Absolutely. And the essay ends on a note of uncertainty. The author acknowledges the many challenges in creating a truly robust and scalable rule-based system. It's a fascinating exploration of a complex problem, with no easy answers, but with the potential for a significant shift in how we design interactive fiction games.
This has been a really insightful discussion. Thanks for breaking down this complex topic for us. I'm definitely going to explore this further.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Join us next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.